Due to the content of this program, parental discretion is advised. Who is the world's greatest fighter? This planet's ultimate warrior. 3 years ago, we set out to find a fighter with the strength, stamina, technique, and guts to capture the toughest title in sports. Tonight, the toughest tournament answers the toughest question. Who is the world's greatest fighter? Is it Ken Shamrock, two-time super fight champion, who's beaten the best the Octagon has to offer? Or is it the Predator, former UFC champion Don Fry, a master tactician with fists of stone? Could it be Tank Abbott, a man of superhuman strength who simply will not quit? Or this man, Chemo, the UFC's original bad boy, who's back leaner and meaner than ever? Maybe it's one of these four seasoned challengers, hungry for the belt that so far has eluded them. The best, be it champion or challenger, is here tonight, ready to take his rightful place in martial arts history. 3 years, 12 tournaments, and over 100 no-holds-barred fights have led us to this moment. The Ultimate Fighting Championships Tournament of Champions. Ultimate 96. Are you ready? Let's open up the gates. For the second time, the Ultimate Fighting Championship heads to the heart of Dixie. We're in the Magic City, Birmingham, Alabama, for a magical night of mixed-matched martial arts. Our setting, the State Fair Arena, which has played host to the Alabama Fair since 1982. And tonight welcomes the UFC's Tournament of Champions. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to Ultimate 96. Double the pressure, double the power, double the passion. We begin this martial arts spectacular with 8 fighters. We've got 7 fights, 1 belt, and a $150,000 payday. First, let's get to the news. 2-time UFC champion Mark Coleman is out, diagnosed with a virus last week. So he loses out on his greatest challenge ever in the Octagon. That's because this field is loaded. It includes two-time UFC super fight champion Ken Shamrock, UFC 8 winner Don the Predator Fry, and 3 fighters who went to finals in UFC tournament competition. So the UFC's Ultimate is now in session, and it's strictly pass-fail. Well, there are a lot of heavyweights tonight, but the man to my right is a super heavyweight. He won the 1984 Olympic gold medal, Greco-Roman wrestling, super heavyweight division. Jeff Blatnigan. Jeff, what about the depth and quality of our field?
Oh, without a doubt, the depth and quality are beyond compare. You're talking Shamrock and Fry, true, proven warriors here at the Ultimate Fighting Championship. You then have Brian Johnston and Cal Worsham, 2 fighters who each time we've seen them have developed their bodies better and, most importantly, developed their skills. You have the Tank, fresh off that stinging loss with Ferrozo. Take a look at then Goodrich. He's been to the finals in the UFC. Could this be his opportunity? And then I think 2 interesting ones. Chemo has lost nearly 40 pounds. He is a sleek, trim, and mean fighter now, but he's going against Paul Varlins, the polar bear. He has put on probably 40 or 50 pounds. That should be a great matchup.
You've got to win 3 fights in one night to win the championship. So this is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It also might be a war of attrition.
Oh, without a doubt, that has to enter into the fighter's psyche. It has to be part of the preparation, knowing that your body has to last. You have to win the fight you're in to advance, but also you want to get it over with as quick as you can, and certainly without accepting any punishment.
Well, Don the Dragon Wilson is on assignment. So the man joining us tonight has been around the martial arts game for the past 20 years. He's one of the world's foremost authorities on self-defense. Let's check in with Tony Blauer.
Thanks, guys. The excitement back here is quite electric. There's a couple of points I want to bring out. the cross-training element is probably the newest thing to come out of the UFC, which is probably not just an event anymore, but emerging as its own combat system. The fighters now are looking at grappling, at striking, at boxing, so they come in as the multifaceted fighter. Also, the mental attributes are going to be critical here, because with fighters of this caliber, you cannot make big mistakes. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Tony, and welcome aboard. So right now, let's take a look at the matchups for Ultimate 96. We open with a power play. Ken Shamrock versus Brian Johnston. Shamrock back in tournament competition for the first time since UFC 3. The victor of that one will take on the winner of Tank Abbott versus Cal Worsham. It's the Outlaw versus the Marine. Bottom half of the bracket features the rematch between the Predator and the Big Daddy, Don Fry and Gary Goodrich, while the last fight of the opening round pits a leaner, meaner Chemo against the Polar Bear, Paul Varlez. Here are the laws of the octagon. No biting, no eye gouging, no fish hooking. The referee has the authority to restart the bout if there is a lack of action. No rounds, but a 12-minute time limit with 1 3-minute overtime in the quarters and semis, a 15-minute time limit with 2 3-minute overtimes in the final. Here are the ways to win a fight: by knockout, by submission, if the corner throws in a towel, if the referee stops the contest because a fighter cannot intelligently defend himself, by disqualification, or if time expires, 3 judges render a decision. Now, throughout the evening, we'll be telling you about our next Ultimate Fighting Championship. It's coming up on February 7th. It's going to be an electric and innovative event. And throughout the course of the evening, you'll be meeting some of the participants for that February 7th show. So more on that later. We're excited about our big announcement. Stay with us on the Ultimate. Well, the referee for this event, well known. He's Big John McCarthy, a tactical instructor at the Los Angeles Police Academy, working his 12th UFC and his 90th reality combat fight. The jiu-jitsu competitor is in command in the octagon. Our judges tonight, by the way, Curtis Shearer, Jeff Mullen, and Dr. Stephen Hoyt. And so in the Magic City of Birmingham, Alabama.
And one good thing for Ken Shamrock, if the strategy is to avoid attrition and avoid punishment, he went out, created the environment he wanted to, and was relentless with those punches and the strikes, never allowing Johnston even a moment of offense. And that really is going to pay dividends. And that's going to pay dividends in the end. It appeared as though at the tap, Shamrock had some kind of an arm across the throat, or maybe, Johnston was a little bit fatigued as well.
John McCarthy said he had a forearm choke, which forced a tap out. Let's take a look at some of the action, Jeff.
Well, it was all Shamrock from the start. He bided his time, waited for the extended strike, and as Johnston tried the kick, he shot the double leg, drove him all the way to the fence, and immediately assumed the top position.
Shamrock once had a nickname, One Punch Shamrock. For a while, he didn't like the nickname. Now he says, I don't mind if you call me that again, because he wants to unload that right hand.
You certainly want to take your opponent out and get the fight over with quickly in this tournament, and you can see those big right hands, one after the other, and it stayed that way. And there, the arm across the throat, fatigue on Johnston's mind. He's never had an opportunity to even get going in this fight. He taps out.
All right, here we go. Bout number. Tremendous heart by Don Fry. He took the punishment, and then he was able to make the one move, and he went after Big Daddy, and he scored.
Well, he certainly used a lot of energy early on up against the fence trying to repel Fry's attack.
He's got the energy
to tie his shoes right now. It's kind of hard to believe, but again, when you're on your back, you spend a lot more energy in offense that gets frustrated than you do in defense that's effective.
An exhausted Goodrich walks out of the octagon. There's Fry.
And that's where Goodrich got tired. Offense on top, he had none. He tried and he tried. It caught up to him, and when the tables got turned and he found himself on the bottom, Goodrich tapped out.
It was exhaustion, according to referee John McCarthy. Once the reversal came about, as Jeff said, he had nowhere to go. but tapping the mat. Jeff, let's take a look back at the highlights of this one.
Punches, but once Goodrich got him down, it was now Big Daddy's turn to go ahead and unleash some fury. He threw numerous punches towards the Predator's head. Don Frye able to absorb those and continue.
Lost to Frye in UFC 8. He came back to us, Jeff, and he said superior strength, superior attitude, superior mind, but I forgot about superior lungs. I'll never lose again because of conditioning. I think we just saw it happen again.
And I'll tell you what, I don't think the gi helps you. I think the gi hurts you because it keeps the heat in. Your body can't cool itself.
Let's move. All right, let's take a look at the tap out, see if we can pick it up.
Abbott on top.
Worship, but you know what happens a lot of times in these fights, Jeff, guys are in denial who tap. That may have happened here.
There's that big right coming up here.
That's a tap.
Yeah,
Left
we
hand,
saw it on his side.
left
Then the
hand.
big right hand came in. Then the right hand came in.
So Worsham was correct in his complaining that the right hand was thrown after the tap out had occurred.
But the Tank's defense, if McCarthy wasn't holding him, he didn't know something on his side is quite a tap.
Final quarterfinal bout. Chemo and Paul Varlins, the polar bear. Chemo, who has replaced Mark Coleman, who is out with a virus. Because Chemo is down to 235. Varlins is up to 340. What a big change there.
He told us 360 in the interview, and certainly looking at him, I can believe that. So Chemo now is actually facing an opponent over 100 pounds larger than he, and he no longer is that 280-pound monster that he was, but a really svelte 235 and looking tremendous. And there, Varlins had the corner throw the towel in, and a happy Dennis Leopoldo, Chemo's father, celebrates with his son.
So here's the way the bracket unfolds right now. Shamrock was a winner over Brian Johnston in 5:49. The forearm choke, the submission technique, forced to tap out. But Shamrock is replaced by Steve Nelmark, who won earlier tonight as an alternate. Cal Worsham and Tank Abbott hooked up, and Abbott won with a tap out at 252. So Nelmark now meets Abbott in the top part of the bracket. Bottom part of the bracket, Don Frye winning on a tap out. Tremendous late reversal there. 11-20. Goodrich was exhausted. So Frye advanced, and Chemo with another tremendous comeback with his late reversal. Referee John McCarthy stops that bout at 9:09. So that sets up semifinal number 2.
Two great semifinals. Nelmark now 2-0 in UFC competition, taking on the Tank. Should be a pretty good opportunity for Tank to reach the finals. And Frye Chemo, what a fight that should be. I'm hoping Chemo isn't too exhausted and has sustained no injuries, and hopefully he will be there.
Well, coming up Friday, February 7th, 1997, it is Judgment Day. Dan Severn will be there. Scott Ferroza will be there. It should be a tremendous night of fighting. We'll talk more about that later. Right now, let's go back to Tony Blauer.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Big John. John, tell us a little bit about the last fight.
Oh, last fight was Chemo tried to take Paul down. That's a big, heavy man. He's honestly about 370 to 380 pounds. He's trying to lift that up. It's hard. He finally went to a position of the guard where he felt comfortable. He was taking a lot of shots, and basically it's that Paul wore himself out. And when he started getting really tired, he started making mistakes, and Chemo was finally able to turn him because of it. And then he started hitting him, and Paul wasn't able to respond to getting punched. He wasn't able to stop what was happening, so I stopped it.
You got a hard job in there, and you're sweating as much as the fighters. Let's talk about the Worsham fight for a second.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. A lot of boos from the crowd. They didn't see the tap out. Why don't you tell us what you could see? You're right in there, right on top of the guys.
It's understandable. If they think that I'm stopping, I understand why they're mad, but Cal Worsham tapped out. That's the only reason I stopped the fight. He was mad because he felt that Tank cheap shot at him afterwards. I understand that, and that's what he was upset with.
Thank you, John. Good luck the rest of the night. Back to you, Bruce.
Thank you very much, Tony Blauer. So our concern right now is for Steve Nelmark. Abbott landed a bomb with the right hand. Nelmark is getting excellent medical attention. Dr. Richard Istrigo, Dr. Stephen Goodman, Dr. Joel Koopman are all there with Nelmark.
He took a big shot from Abbott. Abbott controlled the fight from the start. Nelmark looked like he wanted to dance and keep his distance and then rushed Abbott. Abbott has a strong grappling background, repelled it, went ahead, took his own shot, slammed Nelmark, and then started a fury of punches that ended with a devastating right hand.
Nelmark is on his knees. Leon Tabbs, the fabled cut man, who has been in the game for over 30 years, is attending to him now. Nelmark is okay. He's on his knees, hunched in the corner, and getting attention.
Yeah, he's responding to the doctors. I mean, it was a classic knockout. His knees just dropped out from under him, and because he was against the fence, he arced back in really kind of a deformed position, but he's okay on his feet. But Abbott, quick fight. He's going to be fresh for the finals.
Tank, a minute 5 of destruction with the right hand, the knockout of Steve Nelmark. Jeff?
Well, without a doubt, Tank is in an envious position here. Both his fights were short. You can look at how once he in this tournament, he hasn't spent a lot of energy. He should be ready to go in the finals. We should see a Tank with a full fuel tank. At this point, let's go to Bruce Beck. He is with Scott Ferozzo.
Thank you very much, Jeff Scott, the man from Shakopee, Minnesota, who was so impressive in the last UFC, defeating David Tank Abbott. Are you frustrated you're not here at the Ultimate?
You know, I am so upset. There ain't any reason why I shouldn't be in there whooping Tank Abbott again.
Would you have gone down in a minute 5?
You know what? I ain't gonna ever crumble under another punch again. Never.
What about the concept, Scott? You've got to prove yourself to earn your right into the Ultimate.
Well, look at Dave Abbott. He's in the finals.
He's been a finalist in a UFC, young man.
Yeah, but I can crush him. Doesn't matter. Don't matter to me who I come across. I only want the best to fight me. I can do it, and everybody knows it. And that's why I'm not in this tonight, because they know that I'm going to spoil things around here. They don't want me in here. They want all these pretty boys in here, but they know somebody that's intelligent can come in here, that is pretty like me, can come in here and spoil the UFC. I'm the guy that they should have put in here, and they know it, and they don't even want to talk to me down here.
You were clearly out of shape in your first loss to Jerry Bolander.
I don't want to talk about Jerry Bolander. I'm so far beyond.
It's history, Scott.
No, it's not. Yeah, exactly. It's history, so let's never bring it up again.
All right, what about the Tank battle? How do you explain your victory there?
I was ready. I wanted Tank. You know, Tank had a big reputation. He's a great fighter. He doesn't have no quit in him, but it doesn't matter. I beat Tank. I should be here, and everybody knows it. Listen to him. 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 I should be here, and they know I should be here.
Pitbull, you get your chance in February. Don't keep moving over here.
I'll get my chance in February. I want their best guy. Whoever wins this, they're going to fight Dan Severn. I'll be there, and I'll be ready to kick some butt.
You'll have to go into a main draw before you get a guy like Severn. You've got to prove yourself.
Yeah, I'll prove myself. It doesn't matter. I'll prove myself. I can do it in here. I know it. They know it, and that's why they don't want me in here tonight, because they don't want to get somebody a chance like me that's smart, can talk, to come in here and take all their money.
A bit cocky, a bit arrogant, wouldn't you say?
Hey, well, you know, we're all the best.
What's with the shades?
Hey, these are shades. These are eyewear.
All right, Scott. Don't push me again. Good luck, man.
All right, thank you.
All right. We're getting set for the next semifinal. You can see the reaction of Ferozzo. He says the women love him, but he's married to the lovely Joanne, but still, he flirts and he talks a good game. We'll see how good of a fighter he is in February, folks.
Hall,
good job done.
Hall was up against a tremendous grappler in Fry. He came out swinging. Fry ducked it, immediately went to the body and just crushed him over backwards. And then once he landed, he wanted separation. Hall was looking for strike, but instead Fry was going to stand up and grab that ankle. And right there, he's looking to thread his own leg between Hall's. And once he does it, he'll go to his own back and then go ahead and lock it tight. And once he locks it, you want to arch, and they wind up rolling to his right side, and that's when he finishes. Right there, Hall is grimacing. He is in pain. He can't take it. He needs to tap out to prevent injury.
Ankle lock submission. Fry the winner. Fry against Abbott for the championship.
Could be, you have two bones in your lower leg from the knee to the ankle. You have your tibia, the main. Tremendous pain. You know, Hall was in there. You can't. It's bone on bone. and he might have actually broken his fibula. It could be, because that's the small thin bone that runs along the outside of your leg down to your ankle. Either way, Hall lost by submission. The winner, Fry, won quickly, and that's going to help him in the finals.
And there's a little feel for the UFC. Polar Bear Paul Varlins, who was carried out earlier by John McCarthy, comes back and helps carry out Mark Hall. So there's the spirit, the camaraderie of the martial artist.
Oh, without a doubt, there is a brotherhood to this, Warriors, a fraternal order, just like the sport of wrestling. I can go anywhere in the world and find friendship among the sport of wrestling and the people that compete in it. Likewise in the martial arts, and particularly here at the UFC, the fighting style, these people have honor, and they respect each other and they help each other. In fact, some of them even train together.
Well, we talked a little bit earlier about Judgment Day. It is coming up in February. It should be a tremendous show. The date is Friday, February 7th, 1997. We will be in Niagara Falls, New York, and there will be a unification bout. Dan the Beast Severn taking on the winner of the Ultimate 96. It should be one heck of a fight. First of all, that fight, and then secondly, a two-pronged part of that program. We'll have a heavyweight and super heavyweight division, fighters under 200 pounds, fighters over 200 pounds, 2 4-man tournaments as we begin to allow the little guy the opportunity to flourish and prove his skills in a situation where he's not giving away 100 pounds.
Certainly the super heavyweights have dominated this field. Fry is just over 200 pounds, and he's a guy on the bubble. He could probably go either way. But I like the idea of unifying the title. I like the idea of having a champion. And Severn will meet the winner of this and be crowned the champion, and now that gives us order. He's the top dog. Everybody will be gunning for whoever wins next time and wins the belt.
And Ferozzo can talk all he wants, but he's not getting a shot at the unification belt. He still has to prove himself in battle, and that means winning a UFC-style tournament. Now, have you ever watched the UFC and wonder how to get in on the action or maybe learn how to fight UFC style? Now's your chance. The Ultimate Fighting Alliance, the sanctioning body for the UFC, is now accepting new members. There's 2 ways to join. As a registered charter member, you can get an official UFA jacket or gi patch, ID card, and member certificate, or as a registered combat athlete, which also gets you entered in the UFA's worldwide database of fighters. So for those of you interested in pursuing UFC-style training, call 800-525-6465. That's 800-525-6465 for the UFA. Let's take a look right now at how Tank Abbott advanced to the finals of Ultimate 96. In his first fight, victorious over Cal Worsham.
And Cal came out swinging, and Tank was able to drop, get to the legs of Worsham, drive him in. Stunning double leg takedown, slamming Nelmark down to the ground, and then the punch. That says it all right there. The knees buckle, and he is out. Abbott, hands of stone, firing big missiles, able to make it here in the Ultimate, and now in a position to really be crowned the champ and go for the belt in February.
It's unbelievable, because I said to Tank the other day, are you at a crossroads? Do you have to prove something here, or are you history? And he said, no, I'll just fight forever.
And he's certainly showing us what he's capable of here tonight with his skills.
Tank takes on the Predator, Don Fry, in the championship. Fry had a very difficult first match and a very impressive come-from-behind victory over Gary Goodrich in 11 minutes and 20 seconds.
Fry, when he lost in Puerto Rico, and he taps out. The Predator, Don Fry, looking for redemption, will have that opportunity. He went after Mark Hall, a replacement for Chemo. And immediately Fry takes him down. He has fought Hall before, knew he didn't want to get in a punching battle. It didn't work last time. And here it changes off to a submission lock on Hall's left leg, and you can see the pain that Hall's in. He taps out immediately. Fry able to end the fight quickly, as Abbott did. This should be a great final.
Judgment Day, Friday, February 7th. The winner of the upcoming battle between the Tank and the Predator takes on the Beast. And in layman's terms, what that means is the winner of the Tank Abbott Don Fry match meets Dan Severn. And Jeff, your thoughts on Dan Severn heading to Judgment Day on February 7th, 1997? A guy who has proved it so many times in the octagon.
Well, without a doubt, Seven has had tremendous success here in the octagon. We actually were born together into the UFC way back when. We actually wrestled together way back when. And Dan, as I know from the past and as I know from what I've seen of him here at the UFC, is a true competitor. He works extremely hard. He's extremely knowledgeable with technique and strategy. And most of all, the Beast has got some heart.
So Dan the Beast Severin looking forward to that unification bout coming up in Niagara Falls, New York on February 7th. And Dan is a guy who at every level of wrestling competition has been a winner, a champion, a guy who actually fought on the dirt floors of Cuba. Yesterday, Jeff Blatnick had an opportunity to talk to Dan about the early days of wrestling and the success he has enjoyed.
Dan, how did you find the sport of wrestling? Was it a family affair?
Well, family affair, I would say, is more or less because Mom and Dad said, get the heck out of the living room and get out in the backyard. We kind of broke up a little bit of the furniture, and they're watching professional wrestling and that. But Dad said, why don't you guys take this on to a more competitive level instead of just tearing up the furniture into the living room?
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I'm a middle boy, and I went through the same kind of thing. You said your brothers wrestled. You were a high school state champion. What did you do with your high school state championship? Where did you go?
Well, basically, I was able to utilize the success of my tools, and it enabled me to go on to Arizona State University. You know, I ended up leaving Montrose, the high school is what I went to. I mean, I ended up graduating with being a two-time high school state champion, setting 8 national high school records, winning 2 national titles, and from there, I mean, it made me one of the premier blue-chip wrestlers on the collegiate scene.
And you had an outstanding freshman year, and then you faced an injury.
34-0, 24 pins, pinning 5 out of the 6 NCAA place finishers that year. I was destined to be the NCAA champion when, yes, a knee injury is what stopped it all.
And then you came back from that injury, and that's when our paths crossed. 1977, Junior World Championship team. You were a gold medalist. How did that experience affect you?
What year was that, 1977?
It was 1977, man.
And we're still doing this?
And you're still doing this, yes.
Wow. To be involved and being the first truly international experience to be involved with. And, you know, when you watch the Olympics on television, you know, there's no greater sensation than to be standing on that podium and to have the American flag rising up behind you and hearing the national anthem being played. I mean, it chokes me up even to think about it even right now. That's the greatest sensation ever.
Well, certainly thoughts of at that young age must have started to turn towards Olympics.
Oh yeah, I had aspirations even as a senior in high school. It's just something that the ultimate thing you could possibly ever do was to be an Olympic gold medalist. And so that was what my goals were set there. I didn't know how I was going to achieve it, but it was just one of those dreams.
And then came post-college. How did you, 1, survive to train, and 2, tell us about your Olympic trial experiences?
Ooh, that's an emotional roller coaster right there. First, as your collegiate career finished, I was on the coaching scene. I coached at Arizona State University for 5 years. I coached at Michigan State University for 3 years. So I'd gone in the coaching ranks. I'd done the best I could possibly do as a coach. I was coaching on the Division I level. But I was looking for anywhere that I could go that I could make some kind of income and still continue to hone my skills to try to make myself better to where someday I may realize the true benefits of all these years of labor out there. And, you know, it's job after job, and whatever it would take.
And then the Olympic trials. What happened at the Olympic trials?
Runner-up.
Both times?
84 and 88. Runner-up capacity.
And how did you feel about what happened to you in 84?
Wow, that's kind of like opening up old wounds is what it's doing to me. To be so close, to work so hard, and then to miss it. And that's a hard thing to accept. But it's at the same token, I think those are the things that have fueled me to continue, because I went to achieve this goal. It passed me by, so I'm still out there, still going after it, still aspiring to make that dream.
In 1994, our paths would cross again. Me as a first-time commentator, you as a first-time fighter in an event known as the Ultimate Fighting Championship. First of all, what was your impression of the event? And secondly, how did you rate yourself as a fighter?
Well, Jeff, I think I'd rather have had your job at that time, coming into it. But, watching the UFC, we're only 3 shows prior to that. The UFC 4 is what I'm coming into it right now. I studied the competitors, and I'm a very realistic person. I sit down there, pencil, paper. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? How do those strengths and weaknesses stack up to the current field of competitors that are out there? I felt I could do all right for myself, but there's always that unknown in the back of one's mind of, am I getting into something way over my head? I didn't know, but I had the competitor's heart. I pursued this, and, I've been hanging in there okay.
I'd say you've been doing better than okay. You've had a huge impact in the fighting world. And let's take a look at some of the impressions you've had at the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
A man who stands out as a true champion among champions, Dan Severn came to the octagon with no bare-knuckle fighting experience, but quickly adapted his superior wrestling skills to do what no other fighter has ever done before: win the UFC's Triple Crown. He's the UFC 6 champion, the Ultimate 95 champion, and the reigning Super Fight champion. Any way you cut it, the Beast, Dan Severn, is the master of the octagon. Well, there's a look at the Beast, Dan Severn, who we've spoken to at length tonight. Got a little bit of his background from Jeff, the two of them looking so different in their younger days. And there's the Beast displaying his wares to the crowd. He was the Ultimate Champion last year. $150,000 he won, and $150,000 to the winner of tonight. And the winner of tonight gets Severn in February in Niagara Falls, New York. Here's the finals. We're getting set. Well, don't forget, if you want to ring in the new year in style, it's the Ultimate New Year's Eve, with a look back at some of the great fights in UFC history.
It's the Ultimate New Year's Eve party on pay-per-view. Tuesday, December 31st. 6 hours of ultimate non-stop action. 6 hours of ultimate non-stop excitement. 6 hours of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. See the best matches and the toughest fighters from UFC 1 through 11. Plus 4 matches never before seen. Make this New Year's Eve the Ultimate New Year's Eve. Don't miss the Ultimate Fighting Championship's Ultimate New Year's Eve party on pay-per-view.
Well, have you ever watched the UFC and wondered how to get in on the action or maybe learn how to fight UFC style? Now's your chance. The Ultimate Fighting Alliance, the sanctioning body for the UFC, now accepting new members. There's 2 ways to join. As a registered charter member, you get an official UFA jacket or gi patch, ID card, and member certificate, or as a registered combat athlete, which also gets you entered in the UFA's worldwide database of fighters. For those of you interested in pursuing UFC-style training, the UFA also offers rank testing and certification. So call 800-525-6465. That's 800-525-6465. We want to thank our executive producer, Robert Meyerowitz, and our producer, Michael Phelan, and our director, Mark Lucas, for all their help tonight, and the entire crew, which always goes to great measures to make it very easy for us to perform. So we thank you, everyone involved in production and engineering. And when you look back at tonight, we talked about 100% pure adrenaline, 1,000% pure, saying good night. Seeing truly is believing.
Now you can own the official UFC Fightwear. Take home the UFC baseball cap or the UFC t-shirt. Also available are other official UFC alternate apparel. Let's get it on, man! Know the fighters, their stories, and their stats. You can also own the UFC official commemorative program. Don't miss the action. Call for past events, now available on video. Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-525-6465.